If you want a new life, you want new money, a new reality, you have to take the risk of getting rid of old habits. And most people won't. Not because they can't, because the old habit of feeling safe is there. And safe is the most dangerous place you can live. And today, 9 leaders in this movement packed up their families and moved to cities where they knew no one. No guaranteed income, no warm market, no safety net, 0 leads bought, and every single one of them is building massive businesses. And this is what God's law on risk is making possible. And before this episode is over, I'm going to give you 4 practical risks every leader has to take. Starting with the one most people are too afraid to even admit they need. Now, if that's you, drop in the comments leap if you know God is calling you somewhere, but the old habits, the old life, the old comfortable is keeping you right where you are. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Who are we? Hey, 7-figure squad. What we go? Run it up, run it up.
What's cracking, everybody? My name is Smart Guy Matt Sapali here, hailing to you from Dallas, Texas, and welcome to the 7-Figure Squad YouTube channel. This channel, once again, is for people who want financial control over their money, their decisions, their future. We are faith-based, we're real-world proven. Now, if that's you, welcome home. Now, this is episode 10 of God's Economic Code. We got 10 laws, 1 system. We talked about order, capacity, freedom, structure, multiplication, ownership, discipline, counsel, time. And today, in episode 10, we're talking about risk. What? There's risk in the Bible? Here's what it says in scripture. It says, Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Now, this is the word behind our word of the year named Command 2026. Be strong and courageous. You don't wait until you're not afraid. You don't wait until you see everything clearly. Be strong despite the fear. That's courage. Just go anyway. Why? Because God will be with you wherever you go. Jacksonville, Atlanta, Memphis, Dallas, Rockwall, Naperville, Oak Brook, Chicago, Hollywood, Florida, the entire DMV area, the United States of America, wherever our leaders went in the Money Smart movement, God was already there. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Again, lean not on your own understanding. That means the steps you currently see right now, they're gonna be blurry. That's not a warning, that is a promise. God never said you see the whole staircase clearly in instruction manuals 1 through 10. He said He'd make your paths straight after you take the first step. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8, it says, by faith, Abraham, when called to go, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. He didn't know where he's going, but Abraham went anyway. By the way, that reminds me of one of our songs from Million. Do it anyway. And we splice that link here to grab that song from our AI artist, Million. That's not recklessness. Abraham operated in faith. Now, here's the doctrine I want you to carry out of this episode. The big picture is always clear. You see it. Very, very clear picture of the life that you want to live. But the exact steps to get there are always going to be blurry. And that gap between the clear vision and the blurry steps is where faith lives. Most people never move because they're waiting for the steps to be clear and to come into focus. They want exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to have a predictable result. It happens in other things, but not necessarily when you're accomplishing a big vision. Because the steps don't come into focus before you move. They come into focus because you did move. And here's what happens when you don't move. You're just marching in place. Marking time, we say it in the Marine Corps. Energy is spent, time consumed, nothing built. You look back in the same year, last year, last 3, 4, 5 years, it's the same old, same old. We learned in episode 9 that time is the one asset you cannot recover. Marching in place is the most expensive decision you'll ever make. But here's what I know after being in business for 26 years. Taking a risk is where God does His best work. Because you learn to not lean on you learn to lean on Him versus trusting in your wicked ways. Yes, a lot of us have wicked ways, me included. That's why I have God in my life to straighten me out. If that's you, put step in the comments below if you know the step God is asking you to take right now. Now let me show you what faith-based risk looks like in real life. Every one of these leaders packed up their families, invested in a relocation, leased an office, hired staff, bought furniture, moved to a city where they knew no one. No guaranteed clients, no guaranteed deals, no predictability, no warm market, not one lead purchased, just networking, word of mouth, social media, and relentless follow-up. Talked about John Mason. He left Los Angeles and pioneered Jacksonville, Florida. Today he's in Orlando. Without John's obedience, the Money Smart movement would not be in the state of Florida today. Salute to John Mason. Chris and Vicena Hart, they left Southern California, Compton, California, straight out of Compton, and established our Calverton, Maryland office. Now building across the entire DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Ellis and Jasmine Suazo left Chicago and established Atlanta. Jamie Mickens established Memphis. Curtis and Spring Eman left Rancho Cucamonga and came to build with us right here in Dallas when we moved from Chicago. Kendrick and Brittany Williams, they relocated from New Orleans. They left corporate America, he left his master's degree, psychology practice to come build with us here in Dallas. Now establishing their own office soon coming in Rockwall. Vic and Anna left their office in Chicago, Oak Brook, and relocated to Naperville. Morris and Tori Hansberry took over leadership of our headquarters in Oak Brook, now has his own lease establishing his office. Kahindi and Ellie Thomas, immigrant from Dominican Republic, they established our Hollywood, Florida, Miami offices. Now, we got 9 leaders, 9 cities, 9 Abraham-type decisions. None of them knew exactly how it would exactly turn out, but all of them went. 3 of the last 4 years here in Dallas, we have been the #1 office in our company nationwide ever since we moved here to Dallas. We have a #1 office, by the way, when we were in Chicago. We became a new #1 office here in Dallas, even though we don't know anybody. Now, before I share what's possible, the FTC requires me to be transparent.
One eternity later.
These results are not typical. Individual results were varied based on effort, experience, skill, and market conditions. Most people enter our industry earn little to no income. Success requires hard work, dedication, and leadership.
A few moments later.
But here's what I can tell you that is available to those who show up. John Mason and Ellis and Jasmine Suazo are amongst our first-generation cash flow millionaires. Chris and Vicena Hart have built over $2 million income in annual earnings, also first-generation cash flow millionaires. These 3 names here I just mentioned, these 3 couples, none of them were millionaires, had family that grew up in millionaires. They did it from scratch, not because the path was clear, because they went when God said, go. So please drop in the comments below the word went if you took a leap or know someone who took a leap and never looked back. And here's what the Money Smart movement is all about. We don't just build offices. We actually build a harvest for our local churches. We lead people to Christ. We baptize people right here in our pool through how we lead our lives in and out of the office, with our families, with our teams. So you don't see us being one person at home and another person at the office, and that's stress. That's the Stand in the Gap crusade, that there are 3 gaps we address: the financial literacy gap, the wealth gap, the gap of underinsured Americans. We are standing in the gap, and we're standing in the gap for the Lord. Every leader who relocated is standing in those gaps in their city. That's not a sales organization. That is a movement. Now, let me tell you about the biggest personal risk I ever took, and it gave me the greatest return of my entire life. After 12 years as a single dad, 12 years of raising my son and my twin girls alone, I took the risk of opening my heart again. Yes, I married my now wife, Sheena. And in doing so, I gained not just a wife, but a bonus son. That's JoeJoe, who today has Division I aspirations to play college ball. I've never felt this way before. With God in the middle, with God as a center, man, the risk didn't just pay off. It became the foundation everything else that I do in life is built on. The greatest returns in life don't come from financial decisions. They come from faith decisions. Sheena and JoeJoe, our son Jordan, and my 3 older kids, Ruben, Milani, Soledad, are my greatest return on risk by far. So drop in the comments below the word faith if God has ever asked you to trust him with something that scared you to the core. Now, let me give you the practical framework, the 4 risks every leader has to take and process. Now, not one of them is comfortable. All of them are necessary. Here's risk number 1. Control what you can control. You cannot control the market. You cannot control the economy. You can't control your clients. You cannot control what other people decide to do. But you control your effort. You control your attitude. You control your standards. And leave everything else in God's hands. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. Again, lean not on your own understanding. You were never meant to control everything. You were meant to control you, your attitude, and your work ethic. And here's risk number 2. Surround yourself with people who elevate you. Find people who have more talent than you in areas where you're weak. Find people you're genuinely and passionately excited to be around. Because energy is money, and energy is contagious, and standards are contagious, and so is mediocrity. I recently had to make a hard decision. I released a contractor who I kept asking to raise their standards. Every time this person was around me, they were a drag on everything. Now, that's just not a performance problem. That's an energy problem. You can teach skills, but you cannot manufacture attitude. You cannot manufacture character. And if the attitude is wrong, teaching skills just make a talented problem harder to remove. So take the risk of protecting your environment. Risk number 3, you got to invest in your time. Take the risk of hiring people to get your time and life back, your sanity back. It will cost you now money up front, but that's not an expense. That's an investment. Your time has value. If somebody else can do a task for less than your time is worth, you should be paying them to do it. And then you take the risk of firing when somebody's character is exposed by the job. Now, skills can be taught, but character cannot. If the attitude is wrong, let them go. Your standards are the ceiling for everyone around you. So please don't lower the ceiling to accommodate someone who doesn't want to rise to it. Risk number 4, let your people fly. Once you've equipped people, taught them your standard operating procedures, your SOPs, you drill them to improve, then you take the risk of letting go. Let them make their own mistakes. Let them find their own way, their own voice, their own mannerisms of doing things. Let them build their own thing so they take greater pride when they create results because of it. See, this is the hardest risk for most leaders because leaders want to micromanage. I believe in micromanaging in the beginning, but at the end, at least you got to let people go because you can see what they can't see yet. You know the mistake before they make it, but the mistake they make on their own teaches them more than the correction you're going to give them. John Mason flew to Jacksonville. Ellis and Jasmine flew to Atlanta. Kendrick and Brittany moved here to Dallas from New Orleans. None of them had a guarantee. All of them flew. And the Money Smart movement is in every one of those cities because I took the risk of letting them go. So please drop in the comments below the word courage if you're done waiting for the path to feel safe before you move. Now, let me connect the full arc of this episodes of this series one final time. First episode, order prepared the ground, and then capacity built the carrier, and then freedom set the direction, and then structure built the foundation, and then multiplication produced the increase, and then ownership protected the asset, and then discipline sustained it all, and then counsel made sure you weren't alone, and then time reminded you what's at stake. And today, risk is where God shows up. When the path is blurry, when the staircase disappears, when the only thing left is a vision and the voice that said, go, be strong and courageous. He's already where you're going. Now, if God is calling you somewhere you can't fully see yet, please drop the word courage below. Not for me, but for you. Mark this moment. And if you're watching this feeling trapped, in a career with a glass ceiling, in a business that resets every year, in a situation where you know deep down inside you were built for more, drop in the comments below the word movement. Link in the description of who we are, what we do, potential, what's in it for you, no pressure. We just want to share with you how we do business and how we help people get started. So we just want to provide you that information. But remember, the path doesn't clear before you move. It clears because you moved. I'll do today what others will not, to live a life tomorrow that others cannot. Let's go. If this series is building something in you, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, smash that like button, and drop your biggest takeaways in the comment section below. I read every single one of those comments. We respond to them. My team reads it. Who knows? You might be in a potential next episode too as well. Your comment might be there. And in episode 11, we're going to talk about legacy. Because here's what most people get wrong about legacy. They think legacy is what you leave behind. No. It's not. Legacy is what you build while you're still here. You don't want to miss this episode because I'm fired about creating legacies. I want your legacy to be known. From Dallas, Texas, guys, I'm your Money Smart guy. Until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today. See you next week.